Right guys, in this video I wanted to have a look at getting Maya and Unity to work together to create really nice textured models within Unity. If you've watched my previous videos, you'll have seen that I created a really high poly axe here, and I texture baked the detail from a really high poly sculpt to a low poly axe, which I can use within my game. So what we're seeing here is the low poly with the texture map baked from the textures baked from a high poly sculpt and a PBS Stingray shader applied to this whole thing. If I just do the high poly, you'll see that this is the high poly one. So I can't use this in the game, obviously. It's far too high in vertex count and poly count. So I've created a low poly version, which I've then applied the Stingray shader to. Now what you'll find is that the Stingray shader in Maya works slightly differently to the standard shader in Unity. This isn't a big problem, we can get around this. So you'll see that my Stingray PBS2, one, I can't remember which one I used, I think it's this one, has a normal map, a colour map and a roughness map, and that is achieving this effect. It looks really detailed, the geometry looks like it's really detailed, when actually it's just the shader doing all the work. So I've exported this as an FBX. Remember, I've set this in the middle of Maya. I've reset the transformation so it's nice and centered, and the transformations that these handles that sit at the bottom of the axe. So when I come to Unity, it's going to work correctly. And then, as previously mentioned, you're going to do make sure you've deleted your history by type, selected the model, and then hit export selection and an FBX export. So I've saved it here, Stone Age Axe. Look at my previous video for all the settings for this. In Unity, what we've got is the axe, okay, but sadly the PBS texturing, the PBS Stingray shader that Maya uses isn't marrying up in Unity. Now this isn't a biggie. What we can do is use the standard shader in Unity, tweak it and get things working. So if I just click, I don't know, let's say on this one, you see my crate over here. In the inspector view you can see shader standard, and we've got textures that we can apply on that shader. So we've got albedo, we've got metallic, normal map. So these things are similar to what we're working in Maya. You'll notice when I click on this one, I'm not seeing anything. Okay, that is because I need to manually just attach the different maps from Maya to the shader in Unity. When you import your asset, you have your model and you have a folder with your maps in. Okay, now this is important because to use the FBX file type to make sure that those appear in your asset folder, and then it's simply a case of dragging these onto the correct point here. So your diffuse map should go on albedo, that's like your color channel. So let's just whack that on, and straight away you can see that we've got the color applied there. I've got my normals, so I will attach this to the normal map, and you can see that we've got normals on there. Sometimes you might have a little message that pops up and says fix now. If you just do that, then it will work. It's telling Unity that it's a normal map and it needs tweaking to fit in with the shader that is in Unity. So if you ever notice, if it ever pops on and it looks a bit odd and you see a little box here that says fix now, clicking that will resolve it. Axe roughness. Now okay, this map is the where I'm telling Unity and Maya where I want the object to be shiny and where I want it to be more matte. sort of not reflective. So if I drag this onto metallic, okay, you'll see how this is really reflecting the light, and the wood isn't as much. You can change how much that is by just moving the smoothness slider, and you can get it to be all quite matte or more reflective. So you can kind of set that as you want. So I'm kind of happy with that. And then the other things that have been created, because I didn't apply these in Maya, it's actually created them for me. So I'm happy with it as it is. I don't think we need to add any more. You can usually get away with just a good diffuse map, normals, roughness, or metallic map, and usually that will do the job. So get comfortable with this method. Get comfortable with applying your textures manually in Unity, and have an experiment to see what effects you can achieve doing it in this way. Okay, folks, that is exploring the standard shader within Unity to create to match up with your Stingray shader in Maya.